Welcome to the Market Inside Out podcast with Suzanne Longstreet, Emma O'Brien, and Michelle Tressimer. It's time to diffuse the marketing minefield for entrepreneurs. I remember years ago I was coming up with new names. Oh my gosh, I should show you my all of my business cards. Within about a year, I had 5 or 6 business cards, completely different brands and different websites and different names. And I tried to figure out who I was. It was all about me. This was 2012. And so I started off as Tranquil Path.
Where?
Yeah. And you could not find my picture anywhere on my website.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's really intriguing.
Yes, my nobody had a clue what it was. You're a business coach and you do what? Like Tranquil Path. And then nobody could spell it. Tranquil and then path or pass. No, path. P-A-T-H. Okay. So that was. So then I went to, I know. I have an HR background, so I'm going to help people with their recruiting because I can do that. That's easy. I can do that in my sleep. Great. I know, I'll be engaged for growth. And so I remember going to my Pampered Chef consultant who was my mentor because at the time that I was trying to be an entrepreneur, I was also a Pampered Chef consultant. And if you know Pampered Chef, that's the kitchen that you go in and you do kitchen. And my God, that stuff is heavy. You're carrying pots and stone pans, and going, this is a lot of work for $20, you know?
Gosh.
But my kitchen is full of Pampered Chef stuff, so I love it. Anyway, so I was trying to do that. And I said, so what do you think of this business name for Engage? And she goes, well, because she's an expert. And she's a very lovely person. And she was very Pampered Chef. She had been doing it for 15 years, very, very successfully. And when I said, so I'm thinking of this title, Engage for Growth. And she goes, that'll never work. I'm like, why? And she says, because no brand that starts with an E is going to work. And I'm like,
sorry?
Oh, with a vowel. Any brand that starts with a vowel is not going to work.
That's very strange.
But I trashed the whole thing. I trashed everything because she was somebody I liked and respected for her business savvy. And because she didn't like it, the whole thing went in the garbage.
Can I expand on that? So what I hear often, so at least you were listening to someone who you perceived to be, up the ladder from you, right? Do you guys also see it happen with people who are not anywhere on the ladder? And people will pivot their business because their guy who mows their lawn said, oh, well, you have to do this. It's like, or family members all the time. It's like, if I hear one more time, oh, I need my wife to look at this. Or it's like, well, is your wife a marketing expert? Like, does she spend 20 hours a day on this like I do?
Yes, that's exactly
completely unqualified. Like, what is that about?
Yeah, because we trust them. And that's the other one. You're right. The family member, the friend, somebody that we think has got it all, and they don't. She is great, and she still is great at not digital marketing, at direct marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant at it. And any question that I had about direct marketing and building a direct business, that's what I should have directed at.
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to somebody I liked, and I really wanted her to tell me that what I was doing was great and that I could go out into the world with this.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, most of the time we don't want actual feedback. We just need validation.
I want validation.
Well, that's it.
Right.
Yeah,
but
we all want that.
Had you had internal validation, right? Your own mindset work, you would have ignored her feedback completely.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't have even asked.
Yeah. Oh, that's a
good point. I would not. Right. I would have just taken action and gone out into the world, tried this Engage for Growth with my ideal client, and see if it works with them.
Yep.
Because here's the thing about names. So I do naming as well as part of what I do in brand work. And when I kind of help clients with names, there's this thing called, I call it grandma's cat syndrome. So, everyone's got an opinion and someone will be like, oh, I don't like that name. My grandma had a cat named that, right? And we can really torture ourselves over the name. Like I can't do a website and start my business until I have a name. And you can kind of spin and swirl around that. But actually, name kind of doesn't matter. You can even make Tranquil Pass work if you've got the right story around it and you market it, in the right way, and the visual works. Because people, once they hear the name, maybe at first they'll be like, but then they'll be like, okay. And people just accept names just like, you have accepted all brand names. So, name is something that people can really get tripped up on and ask for opinions. And someone will say their grandma's cat had that name and they don't like it. And so, you're back to square one. Don't do it. Pick a name, move on. Because as Suzanne showed us, you can change it every year if you want, right?
Can I do it?
No, I changed it 5 times in 1 year.
Oh,
that.
And change it every quarter.
Yeah. I remember handing my business card to a woman. Her name is Carolyn, and I handed her the new one, the final one, which is currently Success and Clarity. And I handed it to her, and she goes, "Oh, another one?" And I went, "Uh-oh, that might be a problem." So I haven't changed it since 2012. I think it was June that it became Success and Clarity, and then that was it. But before that, it had been, let me start with Tranquil Path, Engage for Growth, Delegate to Profit. And then it went into, my maiden name is Smith. So it was Suzanne Smith Coaching, because I thought that's one brand I'll never change, Suzanne Smith. Remember, my name is Suzanne Longstreet because I married the guy the month later. So I became Suzanne Longstreet. But then somebody said to me, who was another mentor who I respected, and she was kicking it in business. Now she was in business now, and she was a coach. So I thought, okay, good. This is good advice. This is good advice. And she said, yeah, you need to be Suzanne Smith. And I went, okay. So I put all my marketing out towards SuzanneSmith.ca, which is Canada, and Smiths. And if you Google Suzanne Longstreet, you will most likely find me and possibly one other person. So I took that advice and I went to town with it for 3 years. And then finally in 2015, I went, wait a second, Suzanne Longstreet makes so much more sense, because when you Google Suzanne Longstreet, you get 1 or 2 people, not hundreds or thousands. So bottom line here, if I had just been who I was, my name really was, I got married in 2012. So if I had just said, my brand is Suzanne Longstreet, which is what I've been going back to for years. Because the other one is, I used to hide behind Pinkpreneurs, which is the networking group. I'd say, I'm the founder, I'm the CEO and founder of Pinkpreneurs, which is much more interesting.
No, that is something that is so interesting, and that I come across again and again, is mainly a lot of women. It's mainly women. And if you have a business name, so I always wanted to have a brand name. I never wanted it to be my name, but you say, well, it's not about me, right? So I don't want it to be about me. It's about Punchy, like my business, Punchy. It's not about me. I'm the CEO of Punchy. Like, I don't need to be on the website. It's about my business. And part of that, it's okay. It's a strategic decision to name your company either after yourself or give it a different name. Both can work, but that statement of, it's not about me. I don't want to be, I don't want to be on that about page. I don't want to tell my story. I don't want that photo. It's not about me, is this amazing thing called fear of visibility. And honestly, I didn't even know that was a thing. To me, visibility was like what the road looks like when there's fog. Like, I didn't understand what fear of visibility was. And I didn't know that I had it. And you may not either. But one of the signs of fear of showing up on social media, like in your business, is kind of saying, as Suzanne did, it's not about me. I'm the CEO of this business. You don't need to see me. And another sign is being terrified to post on social media.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not kidding. I've gotten paid to sit next to someone in a coffee shop for 30 minutes to make them publish on one Facebook post.
That's a good service you offer.
I know. I'm telling you.
Make my husband do it.
I had to do it a couple times, right? Like, it's terrifying to be out there. And when they're ready, I make them post it with a typo.
Ooh.
Oh,
I know, because that is huge. Like it
that
is
is
so
awesome.
difficult to have a mistake out there. But then, 10 minutes later, I show them how to edit the post and it's like, no big deal.
That's
Yeah,
amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
That is,
Yeah.
I love, Michelle, how what you do serves not just, the brass tacks of marketing, but the emotional side, the psychological side. I can totally relate to the abject horror of pressing post. So for me, I'm not on Facebook. My business is on LinkedIn. And I remember, 8 months ago, a year ago, the thought of writing a post on LinkedIn made me want to hide in the closet. So I didn't, or I would write some long tortured post that took me like 2 weeks to write and then not post it. And I realized I had a problem. I'm like, this shouldn't be so terrifying. Like, look at the world. The world is on social media. Like, why am I finding this so hard? But it was helpful to go through that because I was like, I've got a problem. I need to figure out what this problem is. And I realized it was a fear of visibility. And I was like, okay, let me fix that and see if it makes the rest of this easier. So I worked with Suzanne as a mindset coach.
Yep.
And that was one of the things we worked about was this around my mindset, really understanding where is this fear of visibility, this fear of vulnerability coming from. Of course, it was some, thing in childhood, right? Of course, naturally, something that happened on the playground. But it's amazing how when you clear that, when you get your mindset straight and you're like, the world is not going to end. I'm not going to be ridiculed by everyone in the world if I post this. As soon as you get rid of that, suddenly it's no big deal. And now I'm like posting every day. I've got like a small following starting because I'm just myself and I post every day. And I'm really glad because it's important to get your message out there. Like social media can be a great vehicle. And so you don't want your fear holding
Can I
that
take
back.
that a step back?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't for me because I'm tech savvy. It wasn't the actual pushing it out that was my hang up. It was the Suzanne piece where I used to think, well, I don't have anything original to say, or someone posted this similar thing. Like, why would anyone want to listen to me? And I did not feel worthy enough to post it. I had no, it was ridiculous. And now I realize the more I'm on digital marketing, everybody's full of shit. It's like sometimes they're brilliant, sometimes they're not, and it's okay.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. It does start with the mindset piece. And it's often a decision that we made when we were less than 7 years old. Okay, so I love this. It's all about, we start with the messages that we start in our brain, and then we're trying to figure out who we are and what's important to us and the name, and then we wrap ourselves into contortions trying to be the right thing for the right person, but we don't pay attention to who we're talking to in the beginning, and then we make all sorts of shit up in our heads that keeps us from doing what we need to do and get out there in the world. And for me, it was go sit on the couch. When you guys were struggling, what was your go-to? What would you do or not do?
I would go shopping at Target.
Oh,
shopping. Okay.
Oh, wow.
I dropped $350 at Target.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
What did you do when you were stuck?
I actually have an addiction to video games. So World of Warcraft was my medicine and my escape. I'm no longer allowed to play it, but it's so fun.
Thank you for listening to the Market Inside Out podcast with Suzanne Longstreet, Emma O'Brien, and Michelle Tressimer. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends.